So I saw this post from Chibi Reviews on Twitter, sorry, X now, stating the amount of people that misunderstand Subaru and Rudy as characters is wild to me. So I actually ended up replying to this, where I stated, NEET's trying to be better people in the next lives? How is that hard to understand? They thought themselves losers in some way, shape, or form, and try to change while in a different world. One is mentally strong, the other's just trying harder. Moral of both stories, just try, goddang it. That was my entire statement to this post of his. And I have nothing but love for Chibi Reviews. He's actually a cool person. If you haven't followed him at Chibi Reviews on Twitter, I think it's also the same of his YouTube, so at Chibi Reviews, you could check him out. He's a really cool guy, to be honest. He does a lot of reviews on anime and just pop culture. I guess you could say anime-related content, really, more so than pop culture. There were some comments in my post that got me interested. This was an interesting conversation. So, the first thing was, this person right here, just in case anyone actually follows me, please don't harass these people. They're not bad people. Where he's stating, Rudy has abducted and threatened 2 women with, the Uncle Bad Touch because they broke a toy. Now, obviously, this is in regards to probably the light novel, as I read through all these reviews, so I have very little understanding of that. I don't know the context, as I haven't read the light novel. I'm still currently just watching the anime. I personally still do not care much for spoilers, but just in case, if you would, like to, not be spoiled, I guess don't watch this video, so there's that. But it is what it is. Anyways, so this person just told me that Rudy threatened someone with the R word because they broke a toy. Without context, that sounds bad. Like threatening people to Uncle Bad touch them because they broke a toy of his sounds very, very petty. But based on the very little information, the information I have of Rudius so far, it also sounds in line with his character, surprisingly. For those who don't know, he was basically a NEET, so he was bullied in his previous life, came to this new world and is trying to do different and try to do better. Now he's currently in the current arc right now, he's going to school. So if he's being bullied in school, that's probably going to drum up some of his personal trauma because, well, he didn't have any power. Now he does have power. So guess what happens to someone who's been bullied their entire life to the point they just left society, and guess what they will do when they have power? There is a high chance he will possibly do the same thing that bullies did to him to others. Now again, without context, I don't 100% understand why this happened, but it did happen. So there's just it was an interesting conversation. I replied to them asking that I need context because on the surface that sounds bad. So some people did reply to me to explain to me what exactly happens. Apparently, I guess in the current arc that we're about to join in Jobless Reincarnation, he made a figurine of his patron goddess that a cat girl and a dog girl damaged. He threatened them afterwards. It was an empty threat that he had no intentions of doing. So the entire conversation was based around that. The threat of doing something versus actually doing something. And this blew up at least in my notifications. My God, this was an interesting conversation. It took me like 30 minutes to read through all of this. They're asking what anime was he watching because, no one understood what he was saying. Just because the anime hasn't gotten there yet doesn't mean it didn't happen. Stuff like that. Wait, what? Stuff like that. Convinced his mom to forgive her cheating husband and proceeded to marry 3 people in the future. That also is a spoiler. Thanks to Natalie X Hunter, again, another anti-tuber, I would say. She's really cool. If you haven't checked her stuff out, you should. It's amazing. She goes into more detail than me. I'm just some random guy on YouTube just discussing his feelings on this. No need to bring that up, blah, blah, blah. Old man steals girl, underworld, and made it an idol to worship. Yeah, Rudy is basically a perverted piece of crap. Let's be honest, he is definitely a piece of crap. But he is trying. Now, the entirety of my statement wasn't that he was a good person. My entirety of, or for that matter, Subaru, he's also not really a good person. My statement was that these two people, these two NEETs, went to another world and are trying to do better. Not that they are better. Rudy is a perverted, well, he's perverted. He's kind of a bad person, if you think about it. He did some bad things in his life because of things that happened. Subaru was a class clown, did bad things, and is trying to do better, but he's still kind of headstrong, I guess you could say. They're both surprisingly good and deep characters, and if you haven't seen Jobless, Reincarnation, or ReZero, I highly recommend both of them. They're really good series. But yeah, the threat of doing something versus the threat of saying something, or well, the threat of doing something versus actually doing something, there we go, I'm sorry. Those are two different things. Someone can threaten you to do anything, but if they don't act upon it, that's one thing. If someone actually does something, that's another. You don't want to actually do something bad. Now, this person, again, was, accusing Rudy of essentially threatening people with some things. And I'm probably not going to show some of those tweets, but in those tweets, it gets very spicy, saying that, he's basically a bad person because he threatens them, and he basically traumatized those two girls. After those two girls were essentially bullying him and everyone else in the school and broke something of his. So I live in America, I don't live in Japan or Europe or something like that. And for the most part, because some of our laws have been chipped away very, very much, I really wish it wasn't, but it is what it is, we have the right to defend our property. In short, if you do something to our property, we have the right to beat the crap out of it, because that's defending our property. That is the layman's term of it, and I'm definitely probably butchering it, but essentially, because we have property rights, we can defend said property. And these items are Rudy's. These two girls broke his property. In short, he is allowed to harm those girls for doing something to his property. Now, will he? I hope not, because again, I have not read the light novel. I have no idea what's happening there. But should he? Probably also not. He shouldn't do anything. Rudy's trying to turn over a new leaf. He's trying to be a better person. He's trying to become the person he wishes he was before his life went to crap. So, trying is one thing, doing is another. He's actually doing it, and you have to give him props. You know, all the bad things he's probably done in his past life, that is one thing. He did some bad things. He is not a good person. He is a pervert. He is probably a toucher, an Uncle Bad Touch. Or at least he was. He spent most of his time just playing games. He didn't really interact socially with anybody. So his social skills are basically through the crapper. He was bullied when he was younger, very badly, to the point where he ended up quitting school and quitting from society, like I said. So, you know, he's a worst case scenario person where if something bad happened, he is probably going to just shelter himself. And based on everything I've seen from the first season and currently what's happening in the second season, again, watch the Jobless Reincarnation, is a good series. He's trying to be a good person. He's not a good person, but he's trying. And you gotta give him props for that. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and let's get this discussion started. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.